Jason Austin. I am an entrepreneur and instructor at MATC. Here to give my voice and opinion of what men want to hear and need to hear. What we're talking about when it pertains to the election, when it pertains to how do we vote, how do we choose, where do we go from here, and how it can help us build the community.
Jason, you are part of the food industry. And you have come a long way from, evolving into being an entrepreneur and, owning your own restaurant. How did that come about?
Well, my journey started on the wrong end. So I hung around the wrong crowd, grew up in a single family home, hung around the wrong crowd. Instead of being the influenced, I became influenced. So got caught with drugs twice in 3 months. The second time I got caught, I had a bench warrant from the first case, and then I swallowed a 16th of crack cocaine and pretty much almost died. Could have died in the holding cell. And so I just knew that was a life that I was getting a lot of warnings to get out of. And so I remember the first thing I saw when I got into the county was a Bible, and I'm like, all right, let's get it.
Now, was that your first introduction to the Bible? Or,
No, I was raised in the Word. I was
Okay.
raised in church.
So that was your
I had a
foundation.
foundation. And, we stray away. We get into that pleasures of the world. We get into doing the things everybody else is doing. I'm not blaming not having a father, not blaming not having enough male support. Because I had a little bit. I could have had more, but it's all good. I still made the choice and decision to do what I did twice. So I remember I was facing 30 years, and I ended up having Judge Stamper as a sub in. He subbed for a different judge, and I ended up getting 2 years, and 2 years on paper. And so I just remember getting out was probably the biggest challenge because now I have two felonies, got to find work. Um, People automatically have this perception about you when you look at your resume. And so you have to build confidence. And every door that you see no, you got to go find yes. And I know a lot of people that hear no and they go right back.
Now, what was going on in your mind when you were facing 30 years?
Mama, no.
Mm-hmm.
Mama, no. But it was like I was just praying for the best. I knew that it was really my second time getting in trouble, but I'm not habitual to the extent to where you finna get 15. And so I'm just, I was just praying. My mind was really on the word and really on, praying on what I wanted to see happen. And when I went and got sentenced and they said 2 years, I was like, cool. I didn't want to tell too many other people because they was facing a lot of time.
Yeah.
So I did mine. I went to Oregon, then I went to Iowa and Winnebago. And, when they send you to Dodge, you're there with people that have life. And, you're going to sell people that have life and not getting out and kind of keeping your stuff to yourself.
And you were what age? And what age were you?
Oh, I was 19. 19. I got kicked out of high school 2 weeks before graduation, and I needed them 2 weeks. So I got kicked out of high school and ended up finishing in prison.
So let's fast forward. That kind of, some would say set you back. And then fast forward to you serve your 2 years, right? You served the full 2 years?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I did 18 months. So I ended up writing the judge and seeing if I can get time served for being in jail. And they took a couple of writings and he was like, yeah, I got you.
Okay, so
I did 18 months.
So it seems like God was on your side. Absolutely. From the beginning.
But I had to make the decision to really give my life to him and be consistent, And so and even still, I even after getting out, it was like spiritually you're changed, but mentally you have to get changed too. And so my old way of thinking, my old way of living, my old way of surviving, my old way of solving issues, and then like getting out, having to start a temp agency, and then getting hired, and then the temptation to go back to the old people that you hung around. It was a point I was going to Christian faith, and I ended up messing with a young lady and ended up smoking and drinking again. So this was after I got my life together. So that decision again to do the wrong thing, and once you crack the door open, it kicks open. So it's like now I'm smoking more than I ever did, drinking, and just then went from going to church 3 times a week to twice to once every other week to once a month to I'm out. And so I think I really started getting myself together when I kept getting headaches smoking marijuana. Kept getting headaches every time I would smoke. I get these massive headaches. I'm like, all right, not smoke again. End up passing out. And so I'm like, all right, God, I'm done. And so ever since then, I just really got my life together and really it's like, okay, what am I supposed to do? What am I good at? Typically, our purpose is always tied up with something we've been doing our whole life, our passion. So I've always cooked. And so I go to culinary school. I went to culinary school, got my first job was making $8 an hour. I'm 32, making $8 an hour. I had no kids at the time, but that's steep. But it wasn't the money, it was the purpose behind being there. The man that was the chef there had just finished the program. And so he taught me everything I needed to know before I got to labs in culinary school. I was there a year, moved on to a sushi restaurant. Pretty much I may have been like one of the only black sushi chefs. I'm not sure. Because every time I walk in, people look at me crazy. Like, typically they'll see Hispanics or Asians back there. But I learned a lot, connected with a lot of people. God started catapulting me. I was executive chef at Marquette. And then the opportunity presented itself to open up a restaurant. And this guy will always present an opportunity where you have to choose being comfortable or trusting him. So I had found a job, just got married, had my first kid. I had a job working 6 to 2, which is unheard of in the restaurant industry. And I had insurance, and he like, all right, you either gonna trust me or you're not. So I thought I was gonna do both. I was like, no, I had to call my wife, like, I gotta quit. She like, what? You just had a kid? And it's like, okay, I'm just God telling me I'm either gonna trust him or I'm not. And she's like, okay, but I know she on the other end, like,
yeah, what's
you know
going
what I'm saying?
on?
Like, dude,
Yeah.
like, so.
Because purpose can be scary. Yeah.
But faith is like being in a dark room and all you got is his voice to get you out of there. And so it's just like you have to trust him. And so I just knew if somebody tried my food, they would like it. They have been following me everywhere I went and worked. Barbecue would follow me. So I'm like, all right, as soon as somebody try it. And I still have a picture to this day of people's hands once they caught wind of it. And so I remember just catapulting from there and getting busy, meeting a lot of people, networking with a lot of people. I met Asi. He was the president of the chamber for a little bit. I met Willie at Northwest Side and just got to share with them the vision of moving into my own location. And so they helped me. And I remember filing for an pardon with when Scott Walker was in and got denied. But when Evers got in, I was like, try again. So I tried again, and COVID hit me. So, I ain't hear nothing the whole year of COVID, didn't hear anything. And I'm like, okay, how we finna survive? And I had just bought a cargo van. So I started delivering 2 meat dinners to people's house. I didn't care. Whoever called, we gone. We did our own delivery because I had employees that needed, money. So I was really focused on them.
Yeah, so you went from making $8 an hour at 32 years of age, and then you just stated, I have employees.
That's
amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I did all that with 2 felonies.
So say that again.
I did all that with 2 felonies. It's a title. It's not your ultimate purpose. It's a title they give you. And the title is meant to discourage you and discourage people from accepting you. But all you have to do is let your no's be a testimony to your yeses and not be discouraged when you get a closed door or somebody tells you no, find out why, work on it, and try again. Because when you fail the test, you just go back and look and see the answers you got wrong and fix them. take it again. So that's all you got to treat. That's how you got to treat life. And so in 21, Eber's people reached out to me, and he was so impressed with my story that he had me speak on behalf of a bill he was signing into law about pardoning. And so, and now I plateaued because in my mind, you know, I'm gonna get 7 of these and this and that. And God, like, nah, time to work on that purpose now. That's your passion. What's your purpose? And so I do men's meetings every second and fourth Saturdays now, because what we have in our community is a problem. And I'm sure you all read it. Only 25% of the black homes are male and female. I mean, they're in a home together. So you have a quarter of a chance of having both parents in the same home.
A quarter of a chance.
Quarter of a chance.
Yeah.
And not to say you can't get where you need to go, but having that model will help you for when you get married, because you'll have a choice once you get married. Will I act like I saw or figure out how to do things the right way? And that's really what my angle is when it comes to our men, and my men's groups are called foundation builders. You can't be a pillar in a community unless you have a strong foundation. And a lot of our foundations are being held by support beams because we were raised the wrong way. We were taught the wrong things. We were taught things like, if you ain't got it, go get it. And in my mind, it's like somebody gonna go rob somebody, you know, or so go steal from somebody. And so if I entrusted a male in my life to tell me that, then, you know, I'm gonna go do it because I trust what he was telling me. And now you find out it was wrong. You have to, what I had to do, and it says earlier, like, you got to renew your mind.
And I was just going to say you have to reprogram yourself. Yeah. And it seems like, you know, from 19 to 32 and to today, you know, there was a lot of reprogramming to get to the success that you've attained today.
Yeah, I had to receive it though. I had to understand I had a problem, and it always starts with you. One of the first units in my curriculum is self-examination, because you have to look at yourself, see where the trauma was. Like, so for me, it was verbal, physical abuse. And so I developed low self-esteem. I wasn't confident in myself. Anytime I said the wrong thing, it's possible you'll get dived on. So now speaking up was not in my vocabulary. And I had to forgive myself, because that's the first step to healing. You got to forgive people. You got to forgive yourself, forgive those that may have been a part of it. And then ultimately, it's like it's a verse that talks about removing the clouds to see the sun. And so the clouds are stress, depression, abuse, whatever those clouds are that's stopping you from seeing your purpose. You got to remove them. So, you know, not having a dad now, okay, now I got to, God, how do I do this? Being married, not knowing what it's like to be a husband. It's a lot of pressure already with being a man. And we're able to endure a little bit more. That's why we had his chest like this. But it's all about being able to, I think we were told to do one thing, and that was to love. And that has to override a lot of stuff when it comes to being married. Getting direction, making decisions that, you know, won't just affect you but your family. I'm on the job training as a, you know, and as a father, but it's not for me. I think a lot of times we get information and we hold it to our chest instead of helping out another person that may be going through the same thing, right? I need the same answers. So that's my angle. We have these meetings, we open up, and I'll break the ice. And from there, whatever they seem to have issues with, it come out. You know, I was almost molested when I was little. I was almost a lot of stuff. So I'm talking about all this stuff because I'm laying it out there, because I'm making myself vulnerable so men can begin to talk. Because when you begin to talk, you begin to heal. You know, not I'm gonna have to get on church with you, and I got a pastor in back of me, I think, still. But when Jesus went to the cross, one of the things he said before it was finished was, "Father, forgive them," because you can't take that type of stuff. He couldn't take that with him. He had to release that. He had to forgive them. He had to go with a pure spirit, a pure conscience, a pure everything. You had to be blameless, spotless. So with us, we bottle things in, and ultimately, if you don't let the water out of a faucet, it'll rust out. So
I love that
you know,
analogy.
you're holding it in, and you're gonna die from the inside out. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. You're gonna be a bitter father, bitter mother, raising bitter children because you never healed from something that happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago. You're holding on to it.
Yeah. And so you went from, making decisions that were not so good to making great decisions. And so when we talk about making decisions and leading the home, how do you navigate that and connect it as it relates to politics? And given what's going on today, we have this upcoming election. And so we have to make a decision about who we're going to choose based on our values, based on, how we're living and all the things that we believe that we need and we should have. How do you make those decisions? What are you talking about in your men's circles? What are you talking about in the home?
I think one of the things that I'm noticing is that every election year we have to pick the lesser of the two. And it's unfortunate because I just wish it was somebody that just would stand on the foundation that America was built on. And I believe too much we waver to whoever we think we can get the most votes from. But as an individual voting, you pretty much, we talk about voting for somebody that practices as close to the most biblical principles. They may not practice it, but the most agreements we can have when it comes to that. But then I'm also picking and choosing who I'm having conversations with because people wear this emotion stuff on their sleeves. And it's like, all right, I'm about to lose customers because they don't share the same viewpoint. It's okay to disagree. It's okay. It's okay if you think differently than I do. That's what makes us human. But that shouldn't stop us from having other conversations. And I think as a husband, making that decision is us coming together and seeing what is the plan that they have. And also we as a people have power too. We as a people have the power to really come together in unity and make some of this stuff happen ourselves. They can really complement what we can do or at least start, and by us waiting to see what they say and what they're going to do, we're waiting on their decision instead of something that we can do and make an impact ourselves. So whoever can complement whatever the vision is in our communities, in our cities, in our states, like that's what we need to vote for, because we're going to continue to have division because somebody's always going to call out race. Somebody's always going to call out whatever it is they're insecure about. And until we can, even as a church, come together and support one another, we'll never get anywhere. Period. The church, man, we got work to do too.
Yeah. We all have work to do. Yeah. To make the world, a better place. We just have so much work to do. So it's like you said, it's always every 4 years. Who are we going to choose? And it's really, really tough now because we got someone who's just like way on one end of the spectrum and one person, that seems to have a heart for the people.
I think whoever's in there, I'm gonna respect. Whoever's in there, I'm gonna respect, and and whatever the vision is, I'm gonna try to do the best I can on a smaller scale here in the city. So wherever it is, I believe they're meant to be there, and we're gonna do whatever it is that we need to do to support whatever we believe they're doing.
Jason, thank you so much for sharing your story and all that you're doing to empower men, to inspire them, and you being a representative as a husband, as a father, as a business owner, and also a professor. Like, you have a lot of things going on. Do you have any final words for men all over who is hearing your story and they're connected to it because they're familiar with it. You know, he experienced this at this age, and this is where he is today. I think I have a chance.
First, I need to shout my wife out and my children before I get evicted out of my home. So, shout out to my wife, Risha, and my boys, Noemi and Maya. But for men, it's time. It's time to figure out what your purpose is, and typically your purpose is always intertwined with your passion. And not worrying about what people think, not worrying about what people are gonna assume about you. It's time for some of us to pull our own tables up and then have people sitting at our tables instead of us trying to overtake other people's tables. I think it's time for us to stop doing things solo. I'm learning this value in partnerships when it comes to business, when it comes to doing things in the community. And without it, it won't last. Like it was never meant. So it was not good for man to be alone, right? That statement can be said for what we know is him having him build, make Eve, right, to complement his life. But also, it's not good for us to be alone. Period.
Right, as a community.
Just
yeah.
period. Right? We try to do everything on our own so we can get the notoriety. But if you have people in your circle that are good at what you're not, then you can scale more. You can create more. You can spread out more. When you have people on your team that can do what you're not good at, we try to be good at everything, and you're gonna burn yourself out. So find people you can network with, you can go into business with that are good at what you're good at. I mean, good at what you're not. Create that partnership and divide and conquer. That's my advice. But it's time for us to step up and fix our broken foundation so we can be pillars in the community. That's why the community's broken, because the foundation is messed up. And if our minds are still in a certain neighborhood mentality, then we only move a couple miles away and still have that same mentality because we don't know what we can do further than what we were taught. So we're gonna still go to the corner store and get all our meals. We still gonna do a lot of the stuff because no one taught us how to shop responsibly and go to other stores, or how to make your money work for you, how to pay bills, how to financially, financial literacy. And I made it. I'm just saying in general, I'm still working, but I made it, and I'm gonna keep that information from you because you need to figure it out. I figured it out, you figure it out. That's not how life works. Life works that you had to go down that path so it could be easier for me, and I'm gonna go through a path to make things easier for you. That's iron and sharpen iron. That's uh, doing things in unity. That's working with one another, and ultimately that mindset of envy that we can have, that mindset of jealousy, all that stuff goes out the window because you're part of something. So if I tell y'all anything else, I'm gonna have to charge you. I'm joking.
Thank you so much, Jason. I appreciate your time.